Hello beautiful, welcome to I'm in Your Beauty channel, and if you're looking to level up your life to the next level, you have come to the right place. But hold up, before you jump into forming a new habit, here are 7 thought-provoking questions to ask yourself so that you can have a great transformational journey ahead. Get to hit that like button and let's get started. So question number 1 before you start forming a new healthy habit is simply this. Am I doing this for myself? Yes. Are you doing this habit for yourself, or are you doing it to please somebody? It's great to be inspired by others, but what you have to realize is, why is this habit important to you, for you? What are the benefits if you complete this habit in the long run? So why is it important for you? So knowing that you're doing this habit for yourself and for yourself only, not to please others, but just simply pleasing yourself. Number 2 is this: what is your why? Why are you forming this habit? How would this habit help you in the long run? How would this habit help you reach closer to your goals that you have set out? Is it leading you to a happier life, a healthier life? What is it? So knowing your why, so that can be basically your motivation to continue with this habit. Because sometimes you do get let down, and the habit maybe sometimes gets tiring, or I don't know about this, but your motivation is always your why. So when you do feel down, when you don't feel like continuing with that habit, always going back to your why. Why did I start it out in the first place? Even if you have to write it down in your journal, or write it down so you can see it every single day, or even in your phone, set it as a notification maybe. But knowing what is your why, that you are completing this habit, is going to help you in the long run. So how is it going to make you feel? How is it going to make me feel if I am in 28 days, in 90 days, in half a year, in a year time? What is your why? So always going back to knowing what your why is, so that can be your motivation. And the third question that you need to ask yourself before you start forming new habits is this: what is the long-term potential of this habit? So thinking about, will this habit still be meaningful down the long-term road? It still be worth the while if I continue to achieve this habit a year from now, 2 years, 5 years. So if I continue with this habit, is it still going to be worthwhile? Am I going to look back and be like, yes, I'm happy I started doing this habit. I'm happy I started forming this habit. What is the benefits? What's the potential? Is it still going to be meaningful? So knowing that it's not you doing the habit just for only 28 days or 60 days, but knowing that you continue with this habit long term. So what is the benefits? What's the potential? How would it make you feel? So knowing what the potential is later on in the future. Question number 4 that you need to ask yourself before forming new habits is this: is it realistic, and is it achievable? This is also where we set ourselves up for failure. Sometimes we create this big, we want to do so much. We want to do so much at a time. But no, we have to know how to break down habits. We have to learn how to, is it realistic for my lifestyle right now? And also knowing that, does this fall in the loop of doing too much? Because this is where also we get burnout. We want to be successful, but sometimes we want to do way too much. And this is how we get tired of the habit. We start saying, oh, it's a lot, I don't feel like doing it today. And then today turns into the next day, and then the next day, and then we just fall off, and we're like, we just forget about the goal, and we forget about our why, and we forget. So what we need to do, is it reachable? Is it achievable? And how are you taking the approach to reaching that habit? So for example, if you want to read 10 books for the year, you're not going to set yourself up to read 10 for the month. You're going to set yourself up to start reading little by little by little by little. So whether that looks like a chapter a day or 10 pages a day, whatever, right? So what you have to realize is this goal achievable for me? Is it sustainable? Am I going to fall off on it? Keep in mind that, is it realistic? Is it achievable? So that way that you can reach your goal, reach this habit, making sure that you're on the right path in achieving whatever you set out to achieve. And then that is what goes into the next question that you need to ask yourself, which is question number 5 is, do you have a plan? Do I have a plan to achieve this habit? Do I have a plan? What is the goal? How am I going to achieve this? So whether it's changing a bad habit or changing your lifestyle a little bit for you to able to reach this new habit and making it stick. So if you don't have a plan, I love this saying where it says, without a vision, the people will perish. And that is so true. If you don't have a vision of how you will achieve this habit, you're going to fail. Simple. That's it. You will fail. Like, if you don't have a plan, you honestly will fail. So knowing what am I going to change in my day-to-day so that this habit will stick? What am I going to change in my life, or how am I going to place this habit in my everyday life? What is it? So if you, for example, if you want to be intentional on setting out your to-do list the next day, the best thing to do is, what I'm going to do is place my agenda right next to my bed. So that way I see it every time before I go to my bed, and it gives a trigger. So it gives me a trigger of, okay, you need to pick that up and write your list before you go to your bed. Or before I watch a show, let me just write out my goals for the week. Let me do an hour of X, Y, and Z. So knowing that trigger. So I know sometimes I'm going to fall in a loophole of watching maybe five episodes of a TV show. That's 5 hours. Oh my gosh. 5 episodes of a TV show. But before I get to that, before I binge watch whatever show or binge watch a movie or a series or whatsoever, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 30 minutes of reading. Because again, it's just a little bit, right? But I'm going to implement that because I can do 30 before I basically binge watch whatever. So knowing that whatever triggers, how to trigger your habit. So what plan are you putting in place so that you can basically achieve that habit? So what plan are you putting in place? So making a plan, yes, can be all fine and dandy for habits, but obviously challenges happen. And this is your next question that you're really gonna ask yourself. Question number 7 is, what challenge are you likely to encounter? That's honestly where it really falls down to, and this is also where it falls down of us not completing a habit for the long term, for the long run, because challenges happen and we fall off the rope. So like, this also will help you think that if these challenges happen, how am I going to face it? How am I going to divert it? Or how am I going to approach it so that I don't use that challenge as an excuse for not completing the task? So what are you going to do? So for example, let's say if you want to work on a project, right? You want to work an hour every single day on a project, but you know that maybe Sunday nights or maybe you know that Friday nights you can't work on that project because of X, Y, and Z. So maybe divert it to the morning, or if you want to read every day for 30 minutes, but you know that family always comes over at a certain time, you're not going to set yourself up and read at that time. You might move it to a different time. Or maybe if you want to meal prep and you know that you run out of ideas on the 4th meal, right? Maybe what you can do is set up a time to research on different meals, or go on Pinterest or YouTube. So knowing that, okay, I'm going to take half an hour to watch this so that I can gather up new creativity for meals whatsoever, right? So knowing what challenges that you are facing ahead and tackle it. Be like, okay, this is the challenge that I can potentially face while trying to form this type of habit. Okay, so once you know what the issue is, you will try to resolve the problem now before you basically have that problem, because sometimes we don't really think straight while we're in that problem. So if you know what the problem is before, it can help you continue to stick to that habit, because that's basically why our habits are not sticking, it's not forming, because we set out so good maybe the first 5-7 days, and then down the road, a month, 6 months, whatsoever year, you're like, why didn't this habit stick? And then when January 1st happens, we're like, okay, let's try to do this habit. But if you don't know how to approach challenges, it won't stick. So having a plan, knowing what challenges you might face, and trying to create a plan for those challenges. And then the last question that you need to ask yourself is, how will you keep yourself accountable? There's many ways to keep yourself accountable, but one or two ways that you can keep yourself accountable is, number one, getting something like a habit tracker. So if you want to track it through a journal, or even going through the app, like there's different apps that you can go download so that you can track your habits. Or if you are pen and paper like myself, you will write down and then track it then. So each day, okay, I did this, tick it off, I did this, and then see how your progress. So making sure that you are checking in on yourself to see your progress, and having a tracker like that will help you see the progress that you have been doing and taking. The next part that you can keep yourself accountable is also getting an accountability partner. So getting accountability partners so that you can check in with each other. Are you forming this habit? Am I forming this habit? So having even like a weekly check-in, a weekly check-in, so that you both can see, maybe they want to achieve a new habit and you want to achieve a new habit. So you guys keep both of yourselves accountable. And then the next thing of how you keep yourself accountable is, even if you set up notifications, you have this great thing called cell phones, right? So keeping yourself accountable, maybe setting up a notification every single day as a reminder to achieve that habit. So those are the 7 questions before you start forming a new habit. Listen, it's hard out here trying to form a new habit, making it stick. But once you ask yourself, once you know your why, once you create the plan, know the challenges, keeping yourself accountable, you shall succeed. So what habits are you trying to form? Put it down below. Let me know what habits that you are trying to form, and trying to make it stick, right? So don't forget to subscribe if you like more videos like this, and don't forget to live out loud. And if you don't know what that means, that simply means living out your dreams. All right, until the next video,